going to be talking about the upcoming survival shooter Cycle Frontier. They just announced that it's going to be releasing on June 8th, which we will be getting a preseason for 2 weeks. What this means is when it carries over to the season 1, they're not going to wipe it. So it's going to be a really good idea to get a head start on this. I'm going to tell you why you should be hyped for this game, because this really very well could be the next upcoming survival shooter. Reason number 1, it's the perfect balance of semi-hardcore. It's not hardcore realistic like Escape from Tarkov, which a lot of people really enjoy that in a game, and that's okay. I actually enjoy that in a game. But with Cycle Frontier, where it feels like it's faster paced than something that's hardcore realistic, but it still has those elements, like you need to listen to audio a lot. You know, you can only carry so much in your inventory, things that still kind of give it that realistic kind of point of view when you're in a survival aspect. So I think having that middle ground is one of the biggest drawings of this game. One of the feelings I kind of got when I was playing Cycle Frontier, this element that was like a combination of Escape from Tarkov, but believe it or not, when you got into combat, kind of like Sea of Thieves. Now, hear me out. I know that sounds kind of weird. If you've ever played the combat in Sea of Thieves, it feels faster paced than the pace of the normal game. And I got that same feeling with Cycle Frontier. If I wanted to take it slow, I absolutely could, right? But whenever I got into an encounter, even if I was playing sneaky and slow, the pace picked up drastically. It didn't feel like the pace stayed the same. It's that perfect balance of semi-hardcore. And I think it's going to attract a lot of players because some people don't like the super realism of games like Escape from Tarkov, and they also don't like the quickness and arcadiness of something like Apex Legends. The second point I wanted to make is the unique and very vibrant art style. It does a really good job of being like a balance. So in this case, it's not too cartoony, but it's also not hyper realistic. It actually has a really nice and satisfying graphical feel. It almost kind of felt like the League of Legends Netflix show kind of had that kind of vibe to it. It was really done well. It's very beautiful. It's very unique to its game. There's a lot of things it did to the game when it comes to art design and just the game design that I think really identifies this game the way it wants to be identified. On top of the uniqueness and the vibrancy of that art style, they're also adding in skins that will really make it to where you can have a unique character identity. You wouldn't see this really in those hardcore games, right? Because it'd be all about tactical advantage, what would be a more sim-like, what would be realistic. And in this case, they're basically doing it to where you can have some fun with it. And if you want to look like some futuristic space cowboy and you want to go in there, you can do it, you know, and that gives you that uniqueness. Speaking of uniqueness, reason number 3, weapons and gunplay. So all the guns feel very impactful and they're coupled with a really good sound design. I really didn't have too much of an issue with most of the guns. There were a couple that were a little bit weird where like when you shot them, it just kind of felt like there wasn't any impact with them. It's kind of hard to explain that into words. If you play a game like Cyberpunk 2077 and you shoot the like assault rifle in that, it just doesn't feel very satisfying. But if you shoot an assault rifle in say Cycle Frontier, you'll be able to see what I mean by that difference. It's a different feeling when you're actually playing the game. It feels like the gun actually has some umph to it, and that was nice. All of the guns I feel like overall did that, and they were coupled with some really good sound design. On top of that, the design of them, kind of bringing that reason number 2 back into the fold here. The design was really well thought out because they did some futuristic guns, which I thought was really good. So one gun like the Flechette, for example, looks really futuristic. It's just very futuristic sci-fi fitting. However, some guns like the Advocate, they did a really good job of combining modern and futuristic. So it kind of looks like our normal assault rifle today in most modern day. However, they added their futuristic little twist to it, and I like that. So they did a good job of making it both unique, and then they combined some elements that already kind of worked. It's a good direction they're going in with that. Aside from just the design itself, like I said, the gunplay and the weapons themselves feel impactful. Because of that and the recoil and everything that they add into it, that's another really good bonus as to why the game could do very well, because it's making it an engaging encounter every time. It doesn't feel lackluster, and that's important for a game like this. Reason number 4, immersion and community. So between the game environment, the audio, the pace of the game, everything you do, it makes you feel very involved and immersed into the environment and in the game itself. And you even get that adrenaline rush. And if you're like me, I love that. That's the point of these games that make them so fun. So it's one of those things where if you enjoy that rush and you can get over the fear of losing your gear and more so look at the enjoyment of like getting into that situation, you'll really be immersed into this game, you know. And they couple that well, like I said, with the design, the environment, the art. The audio is a big deal. The audio can actually freak you out. The audio plays a big point in this game. Going well with the concept of immersion is going to be community. I'm pretty sure they're bringing back the hub where everyone can see one another before deploying. I'm not 100%, but this could be seen as a little change, but in reality, it's really not. It adds that inclusiveness and it adds that community drive, allows you to be immersed into the game with other players. And I think that's an important aspect when you're sitting there waiting for your next game to launch and you can interact with these other players. That makes it feel like it's not just a single player game that's actually multiplayer, or you're not really doing much. You know, you actually get to see people like in Destiny where you can see everyone jumping around and going to the vendors. Like I said, it's a small thing, but that makes a big difference, especially I feel like for the longevity of a game, because it means I want it to be more community focused. I like that. I love that. The last reason, and I think the most important, is we are now going to have an additional game for people who enjoy games like Escape from Tarkov, Rust, and other similar survival games that they can play when they're waiting for a wipe. In games like Rust and Tarkov and Cycle Frontier, you progress and you get all this gear and you can eventually get to the point where you have all this money, you can just buy everything out and it can become stale. So what they do is they basically wipe everything and you restart. What this offers is people who are waiting for a wipe in Tarkov, for example, now have a game they can play in the same genre to maybe buy them some time until the wipe for Tarkov comes out, and vice versa. People who want to play Cycle and still want to play Tarkov, same thing, or with Rust, it all applies. So adding that is a healthy addition to the genre and just the gaming community alone. Burnout's not fun. You know, we love playing that same game, but sometimes we need to take a little bit of a break. This will help offer that, and I think really be healthy for the gaming community. This is pun intended, so I guess you could say it's creating a really healthy cycle. Those are the 5 reasons why I'm super hyped for this game. It's going to be fun. Look for it June 8th. And if you haven't already, I'm going to be creating a lot of content for it. So click the like, click the subscribe. I appreciate you doing that. And as always, stay shiny.